Welcome back to my video series about the Scotch game. I'm Grandmaster Alexander Delchev, and this is video number 2. After the well-known opening moves, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e take d4, knight d4, this is a main starting position for the Scotch game, and here I will focus your attention on the move bishop c5. This is considered for many theoreticians as a best possible black move, as it attacks the knight to d4 and develops the bishop in the same time. So now white has 3 different alternatives. The first one is to take knight to c6. It's a little bit illogical because white is doing a third move in a row with his knight f3, knight d4, knight to c6. But this is a choice of many of the top players because he invests his time in achieving a little bit better pawn structure. And after the moves like b takes c6, or d takes c6, let's say white will go bishop to d3, and then in the middle game he will have a very small advantage. But having a better pawn structure, you need a very good technique to take any advantage of it. So the second move here is knight to b3. Knight goes to b3, attacking the bishop on c5. So after bishop to b6, white usually continue knight to c3, knight f6, and then after queen to e2, white is preparing to exchange the bishops with bishop e3, and then going into the most aggressive setup, as I said in the previous video, that this is white's best chance. But here, in this concrete position, black has a very good chances to start his attack first by playing a5, a4, and chasing the knight on b3. It's really a very interesting, a very complicated line, but I think my recommendation here after bishop c5 is the move bishop to e3, which is the most logical and natural move. White is defending the knight, and then the threat is to take on c6, winning the bishop on c5. And black should pay attention to this because after the move d6, which seems very logical, after a very simple exchange operation, after knight to c6, bishop to c5, and then after exchanging queens, queen to d8, king to d8, white is almost winning advantage in the end game, as a triple pawn c5 are very weak. Most probably white will win one of them and to claim a decisive material advantage. Of course, black should avoid this, and the possible ways is to play bishop to b6, just protecting the bishop. But this is exactly what white needs to win one tempo in the opening. So continue with knight to c3, then knight f6, queen to d2, castle short, and then castle long. We achieve the ideal setup, let's say after rook e8, f3, and white can continue with g4, g5, and I don't really see a good square for the knight from f6. This gives white a very powerful attack, and I think it's the best approach. The best approach for black here is to play queen to f6. But this move also has his good and bad sides. After queen to f6, black is adding pressure to d4. But from the other side, he should be very careful about the possible tactical motive connected with knight b5, as the c7 is left without defense. Of course, white has the only move c3, and then after the knight e7, we have the main starting position of this line. I'd like to show you one very instructive game, which I usually show to my students about the topic of the attack against the uncastled king. This is the game between a very famous Russian theoretician, Evgeny Sveshnikov, and very strong grandmaster, the inventor of the line in the Sicilian defense, which bears his name. And the black pieces is a grandmaster Viktor Varavin, also a very strong Russian grandmaster. In this game, white continues bishop to c4, controlling a d5 square, which is a very important move as it prevents the move d5 with eliminating white central pawn. After bishop to c4, black played knight e5. But here is one very typical mistake for black, which is queen to g6. It happened for the first time, also in a game between very strong players. White was Vasily Ivanchuk, and then, this game was played in 1991, and Ivanchuk was 22 years old against one of the legendary players, Boris Gulko. In this game, white clearly refuted this move. Can you see the way Ivanchuk continued in this position? Yeah, he took knight takes c6, and after queen to c6, of course, bishop to e3 is not a good move, as after knight e7, white is attacking the queen, and on the next move he will take the bishop, remaining with the piece up. So after the queen to c6, there is a key move for white, bishop to f7 check, king to f7, and then after queen h5, white won a pawn with a continuous attack, won a game very quickly. So as you see, even the strong players are making mistakes in such tense positions. Instead of queen to g6, the best move played by black in this game is knight to e5, chasing the bishop from c4, winning the tempo for centralizing the knight. White goes back bishop to e2. This is the best place for the bishop, controlling the g4 square in the case we want now to go f4 and to win space. In this position, black goes a very strong move, queen to g6. It's a logical continuation. Black is attacking both g2 and e4 pawn, and white doesn't have any other move. So castle short, followed castle short here in this position. And here black continue with a very sharp, very aggressive move, d5. This game was played in 1991. This was the first time when white showed the refutation of this move. It was a great novelty then, as in this position black has quite an unpleasant threat to play bishop to h3, and then probably followed by castle long, completing development and having a very strong initiative. Now the strong move which white played is bishop to h5. It's a great novelty, which idea is to force black to take the pawn on e4. There is no good alternatives for this move, as queen to d6, white has knight to b5, very strong, and after queen b6, white is winning with the typical bishop to c5, queen to c5, and now queen to d4. So after queen takes e4, white idea, opening the e file against the castle king, will follow with the rook e1, but firstly, white won a tempo by knight to d2, forcing black to make another move with the queen. So black went queen to d3, If instead there was an interesting move, queen to h4, which has a very surprising refutation. Try to see what is white's best continuation. Well, there is
best continuation. It could be d3. No. Maybe knight f3, man. Yeah, wins the bishop. Wait a second. He doesn't win anything. Bishop is trapped. I don't see.
There is a hanging bishop on c5 and hanging knight e5. So the idea if white is to play knight to f3, but firstly, because the bishop is hanging, so white is just sacrificing the bishop. And doesn't matter what black is doing. After king f7, white is playing knight to f3, attacking the queen, attacking the knight, and attacking the bishop. So after knight to f3, knight to f3. So again, black has no chance to defend both pieces, because if knight queen c4, there is knight e5 fork. And white is winning black queen. So in this position, after queen to d3, after queen goes to d3, white plays again the same surprising idea. White plays knight to f3. The main idea of white attack now, the first stage in the attack, is to try to keep the black king in the center. So white should play aggressive moves, winning a tempo on the way, and avoiding black from doing useful moves like castle short. So here in this position, after knight f3, black chooses the only move to stay in the game, bishop to d6. Otherwise, knight to f3, white goes queen to f3, and then attacking both the bishop on c5 and also a pawn on f7. As well, a bad move is after knight f3, the bad move is to take bishop e3, because then after knight e5, white is attacking at the same time the queen and the pawn on f7. So what happened after knight f3? Bishop to d6, white took knight e5, bishop e5, and then another key move, very typical for such position, is bishop to c5, keeping black king in the center for one more move, just enough to have a time for to play rook e1. So black went queen to f5, trying to keep the bishop on e5. So rook e1, white is preparing to win a piece by bishop e7, and then attacking the bishop, which will be pinned on the open file. So black went g6, chasing the bishop, and to be able to play f6 on the next move, somehow to defend his bishop. And here begins the second stage of the attack. After bishop to e7, black king is losing the right to castle. Now king to e7, and then knight to f3, adding more pressure and more pieces into attack. Now the e5 bishop is attacked, and also a queen to d5. After f6, white finished the game just in a couple of moves, knight take e5, and then queen takes d5. And after king f6, of course, it's a very easy winning position, but can you find how white completed the attack? Yes, bishop to g4. This is a typical decoy motive. Now if black takes the bishop, then white will go queen to e5, and then taking the rook on h8. After queen to g5, white can go, for example, h4, queen to f4, and then g3, and black has no chance to defend his central pawn. Well, okay, let's outline the most important things we learned in this video. After the move bishop to c5, this is a classical Scotch, and I think white the most natural move is bishop to e3. Then black has to defend his bishop on c5, and the best possible idea here is queen to f6. After that, after c3, white is winning the fight for the d4 square, and black should be very careful about the tactical possibility of knight to b5, because black king is now far from the defense of the c7. So this is all for this video, the whole material. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you back soon.
Right.
I mean, it's all right. Nope. Bruh. Huh?
What? This is a good move.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stupid. Bruh. I mean, it's all right. Nope. Huh?
Stop it.
Shit, I don't know.
Cool.